Donald Trump has closed the gap, and it seems that he is now on a path towards victory this November. I've often talked about how it seems the Democrats aren't really running, that this is a throwaway campaign because they know they're going to lose. But outside of all of the polls and everything, it doesn't even matter at this point. It looks like Trump is actually on track to win. First, I want to show you this poll from Rasmussen, and I want to read to you about these battleground states. Rasmussen report says, in a time of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. We'd like to thank Liberty Nation for sponsoring our daily presidential tracking poll this week. And we can see in their image that Donald Trump is currently a total approval for Rasmussen, 51%, compared to Barack Obama at the same time, 49%. Donald Trump has a higher approval rating than Obama did at the exact same time, which leads me to one big question before we read this story from CNN. Why is all the news negative? How is that possible? They praised Barack Obama. That's the bias in the media. So consider this a bit of an addendum to my main channel segment over at youtube.com/Timcast. It is a different channel where I talked about woke journalists getting triggered. We can see that Obama wasn't doing nearly as well, yet the media still loved him. Well, all of that aside, let's talk about today. Donald Trump is running for re-election. The election is very, very soon. And CNN says Biden and Trump matchup tightens as enthusiasm hits high. CNN reports Joe Biden's lead over Donald Trump among registered voters has significantly narrowed since June, according to a new CNN poll conducted by SSRS. Even as the former vice president maintains an advantage over the president on several top issues, and his choice of California Senator Kamala Harris as a running mate earns largely positive reviews. I don't think so, CNN. They say, and on the eve of the party conventions, a majority of voters, 53%, are extremely enthusiastic about voting in this year's election, a new high in the CNN polling in presidential election cycles back to 2003. Yes, but how many of those are just for Trump? Overall, 50% of registered voters back the Biden-Harris ticket, while 46% say they support Trump and Pence, right at the poll's margin of error of plus or minus 4 percentage points. Among the 72% who say they are either extremely or very enthusiastic about voting this fall, Biden's advantage over Trump widens to 53% to 46%. It is narrower, however, among those voters who live in the states that will have the most impact on the Electoral College this fall. And boom, there it is. Yes, we know California, New York, Washington, blah, blah, blah. We know they don't like Trump. What about the battleground states? They say, across 15 battleground states, the survey finds that Biden has the backing of 49% of registered voters, while Trump lands at 48%. Full stop. There it is. Trump secret voters pushes him above the finish line. That's it. 1%. And what's your margin of error? 4%. Plus you got Trump's secret voters. Trump landslide, man, huh? Maybe not. I don't know. They say the pool of battleground states in this poll includes more that Trump carried in 2016 than were won by Hillary Clinton. So it was 10 in 2016 and 5 for Clinton, reflecting the reality that the president's campaign is more on defense than offense across the states. Taken together, though, they represent a more Republican-leaning playing field than the nation as a whole. The movement in the poll among voters nationwide since June is concentrated among men. They split about evenly in June, but now 56% back Trump, 40% back Biden. I am one of these dudes. Although I never backed Biden, the riots were a real slap in the face. I will tell you that. And they're still going on. Those between the ages of 35 and 64, they tilt toward Trump now, but were Biden leaning in June. And independents in June, Biden held a 52% to 41% lead, but now it's near even. 46% Biden to 45% Trump. Listen, this trajectory shows Trump is on track for victory. It's funny because I don't like the polls, right? The polls were wrong in 2016. The Beltway bubble is worse today than it was. If Trump's doing this well, 49 state landslide. Okay, maybe not. Maybe that's a bit much. But I really don't see the Democrats winning this. Not now, especially not now. Because you got to consider, if Trump is on this track, then he's on an upward trajectory. Is this going to be a bull polling market for Donald Trump? I would say yes, because the riots have not stopped. The Democrats did the Pledge of Allegiance at the DNC. The DNC is a disaster and being made fun of. Everybody's mocking them. They rejected the progressive proposals, and the progressive wing of the party is bigger than the liberal or conservative wings of the party. Therefore, the Democrats have just spiraled out of control, and they're about to fizzle out. They're now trying to come out against Antifa. Facebook now wants to ban Antifa. Too little, too late. That's why it's all happening. What Trump is doing is working. Kamala is a bad choice, and Trump's improving because of it. They say Trump has also solidified his partisans since June. While 8% of Republicans or Republican-leaning independents in June said they would back Biden, that figure now stands at just 4%, and the president has boosted his backing among conservatives from 76 to 85%. But the survey suggests that Trump's voters are a bit more likely to say they could change their minds by November. 12% say so, than are Biden's backers. And that's probably just people like me. Donald Trump added more people, get it? With more moderates saying they'll vote for Trump. But things may change. The percentage will go up, but the hard number is what's important. If Trump has 100,000 diehard voters, I'm just a random number, random sample. I know it's probably way more than that, millions. Let's say 100 people say they're diehard for Trump. That means he has 0% who will defect. But Trump picks up 50 new voters from the moderate section. Now the numbers are going to skew in favor of, well, now we have 20% who say they may change their mind. Right, because they're not the diehards. You see how this is played. CNN says most voters say their choice of candidate is about Trump than it is about Biden. Nearly 6 in 10 say they support the candidate they do because of their view of Trump. 29% say their Biden vote is more to oppose Trump. 30% say they are casting a Trump vote in support of him, while only 32% say Biden is the deciding factor. 19% are voting in favor of Biden, 13% casting a ballot to oppose him. And I am pretty much in that opposing him category, for sure. Overall, 54% disapprove of the way Trump is handling his job as president, and 42% approve. That's an uptick since June and about on par with Trump's ratings from earlier this year. It still lands the president near the bottom of the list of historical approval ratings for presidents seeking re-election. Just ahead of their nominating conventions, Trump lands ahead of Jimmy Carter, 33% approval, and George H.W. Bush, 35%, but below Barack Obama at 48%. Well, I showed you before, Rasmussen has Trump above Obama. So take it with a grain of salt. These are individual polls. So who knows? That's why you can't really trust them. George W. Bush was at 49, Clinton 53, and Reagan 54. Trump's favorability rating remains underwater. Nationally, 43% see him favorably, 55% unfavorably. A bit worse than Biden's 46% unfavorable to 46% favorable to 47% unfavorable. Wow, that's interesting. In the battleground states, though, voters' view on the two candidates are almost even. 52% have an unfavorable opinion of Biden, 54% of Trump. Both candidates are viewed favorably by 45% in most states. Now, here's the one I don't believe. They say Kamala Harris seen as a good pick. And this, to me, just throws the whole polling out of whack. But here's what's relevant here. If CNN, which typically says Trump sucks and is doing bad, now has him polling in battleground states within 1 percentage point, how big is that gap really? I mean, in favor of Donald Trump. You see where I'm getting? We know, according to Rasmussen, his approval rating is going up. If you trust them, and they were one of the most accurate polls in 2016, then, well, they may be right. CNN, which is consistently negative, and like many of these other outlets, got it wrong thinking Hillary Clinton was going to win. I'd suggest they're off. If they're giving Trump this high of a margin, it looks like Trump's going to win, man. It really, really does. But I'll tell you this. Keep in mind, there's a lot that could change in the next couple of months. It's August 20th, November 3rd. On September 17th, the far left is going to engage, they say, in a siege of the White House, a nonviolent protest for 50 days until the November 3rd election. We also have mail-in voting. We're not going to have an election night. No one knows what is going to happen, and this could get dragged out, and they will claim Trump cheated. Maybe that's the real goal. If these protests go nuts and Trump is forced to take action, they might try to make Trump look bad. But I'll tell you what, we got more polls coming out that people want the protests to be stopped. And that's why Donald Trump was smart to be the law and order president. That's why they chose Kamala Harris. And that seems to not have worked very well because even though they're saying they think she's a good pick, Trump's approval is going way, way up. So you tell me, right around the time they announced Kamala, Trump skyrockets. Maybe Democrats were holding out, hoping that the Democrats would actually put forward some viable candidates, and they did not. They put forward awful, horrible Harris and Joe Biden. And now they're looking at, relative to Trump, they're pretty bad. So Trump starting to look a whole lot better. And that's kind of freaky to me, We've come to this point. I'm seeing a lot of libertarians like to mock both parties. And I'm like, listen, Jo Jorgensen, with all due respect, she endorsed the far left intersectional ideology. And that was horrifying because it's overtly authoritarian. Libertarians should not be preaching religion. They should be defending the right of individuals to practice whatever they want. That's why I think we're facing a true existential threat. And I'm not kidding. We're more and more, we're hearing about this creepy new religion that's seeping in. I have always been particularly, secular, I guess, separation of church and state, all that stuff, though I consider myself to be, I would say non-theistically religious of some sort. I believe in God, but not these religions. I'll put it that way. I've never been a big fan of moral authoritarianism and religion in government. And that's what's happening now on the left. And I'm worried it's going to start taking over. So Trump is the pushback. Looks like he's going to win, but we'll see. Times could change. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all next time.